The 2023 preseason is officially in the books for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and today I'm going to be breaking down my complete list of winners for the 2023 preseason. For the black and gold here, I got an extensive list, offense, defense, you name it, man. We're going to be getting into my biggest winners. Now, just because you see somebody that's not on this list, if you notice somebody's not on this list, that doesn't necessarily mean I think they're a loser or anything like that. I just think that these 12 individuals were the biggest winners for the Steelers here in the preseason. Before we get things going here, do me a favor, click that subscribe button. I'm usually in my studio here in Dallas, Texas, but it's my day off, so I'm currently at my apartment here in Dallas. But I wanted to get you guys some Steelers content, and you're not going to get this kind of dedication anywhere else on Steelers YouTube. So if you want to become an expert on the Pittsburgh Steelers, daily videos, weekly live shows, and weekly live parties, live watch parties throughout the 2023 season, do me a favor, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now let's get into my list of winners this week, or for the whole preseason actually, not just week 3 versus the Falcons. I'm going through the whole preseason here. So my number one winner here, and this is not really in any particular order, I'm going to start with the quarterback, Kenny Pickett, because it's just so dang obvious, man. I believe he was 11 of 13 passing during the preseason. Now, let's just be clear here. He didn't play against first-team defenses pretty much throughout the preseason. Okay, Tampa Bay played very little starters, Buffalo played very little starters, and Atlanta played very little starters as well. However, he looked sharp, he looked accurate throwing the ball down the field. He looks like he is in perfect control of Matt Canada's offense here heading into the 2023 season, and he looks comfortable from the pocket. Last year, his rookie season, it was a different story. He was more comfortable outside the pocket, being a playmaker, and really this offseason, I wanted him to work on his pocket mechanics, pocket footwork, that pocket presence that wasn't really there in his rookie season, because if you want to be a sustainable quarterback in the National Football League, you have to be able to win from the pocket, and you have to be able to target the middle of the field, which is something that Kenny had a little bit of an issue with his rookie season. But now in the preseason, all those concerns that I had coming into the year have been quashed. I think at the very least, he's going to be a good starting NFL quarterback. Maybe he won't be like an MVP caliber guy. Maybe he won't be a star, but I definitely think with his ability to get outside the pocket and make plays, now mixed with that ability to be comfortable in the pocket and really make adjustments at the line of scrimmage too in Matt Canada's offense, I think that's going to do a world of good for him. I think he's got some great weapons around him, and he showed this preseason that he's ready to take on this role and become the franchise quarterback for this franchise. Now moving on to another winner here, Jaylen Warren has really made a name for himself in NFL circles here this preseason. Got another touchdown last night against the Falcons. Of course, he had that 62-yard house call versus the Buffalo Bills in week 2 of the preseason. And, he's played so well that some people are actually going out there and they're saying he should be the number 1 running back on this team. Now, personally, I think Najee Harris deserves a shot to be that number 1 guy. This is kind of the first year where he's had an adequate offensive line. And I think Najee's a very talented back as well. And I think that this combination of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren is going to be one of the best running back duos in the National Football League this year. And I cannot wait to see what they can do here, because Matt Canada at least claims this is going to be the lifeblood of the Steelers offense this year, is this running back duo. And given the way that those two have played throughout the preseason, I absolutely believe that. Now, sticking with the offense here, George Pickens throughout training camp, throughout the preseason, has looked incredible. I mean, last year we saw the flashes, man. We saw the ability to win those 50-50 balls down the field in the red zone. I mean, this guy's one of the most talented individuals at the position in this entire league. And I really do think he's ready to take on that number 1 alpha type wide receiver role. It doesn't mean that I think Deontay Johnson stinks or that he's going to have a bad year. I think Deontay's a really good wide receiver, and he's one of the best number 2 wide receivers in the National Football League, in my opinion. But when you look at the talent and the ability of George Pickens, not only to win those 50-50 balls, not only to use his size and strength as a run blocker, but also he's really good after the catch too. too. He's a better athlete than he's given credit for, and I think he's going to absolutely explode this year and be one of the breakout superstars in the National Football League in 2023. Then we got Connor Heyward here. Tight end / running back. He's had quite a few reps as a running back so far during the preseason, I should say, and he's looked really good in both. I think that that's a really smart way to utilize him because you've got really good tight ends here, man. You got Pat Freiermuth. You just brought in Darnell Washington, who's going to be a weapon in the red zone. You still have Zach Gentry. For Connor to get on the field, it's going to be really fun to see how they use him as a running back this year because they've used him in that capacity a ton during the preseason. And I think that, with having both Najee, with Jaylen and Anthony McFarland, and now you got Connor Heyward that can also play running back. I love that versatility that he brings to the table. And I think he's going to be a Swiss Army knife for Matt Canada to utilize this year on the offensive side of the football. Somebody else, now we're going to shift a little bit to the defense here, starting with Elijah Riley, somebody that came into this offseason, just kind of being a contributor last year on special teams, formerly a strong safety. He switches over to slot corner this year, and he absolutely balls out in training camp. I mean, we heard whispers about him all the way back in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and he's been showing out, and it's looking like he's going to have a shot potentially here to be the starting cornerback. Now, we'll see if he beats out Chandon Sullivan here. We'll see how Mike Tomlin addresses that position as we head into week 1 versus the 49ers. But at the very least, I think Elijah Riley has secured himself a spot on the 53-man roster. He has earned it. And even if he's not starting, I think that he's going to be able to get on the field quite a bit here on defense here for defensive coordinator Terrell Austin. And then going back to the offense here, I'm going to go with Dan Moore Jr., who got replaced with a rookie in the first round of the NFL draft, which is usually the kiss of death for somebody. Obviously, the Steelers felt like they needed to upgrade at the position, but kudos to Dan Moore Jr. for putting in the work this offseason to really, I think at this point, it's pretty clear that he's going to be the starting left tackle for the Steelers by week 1 here. He's going to be there. He's looked fantastic in pass protection. He's been pretty darn good as a run blocker this preseason as well. He has been so impressive. And now you got Bradrick Jones, who's going to eventually be your starting left tackle, probably sometime this season. And it's going to really depend on Bradrick Jones. But having a guy like Dan Moore Jr., who's already, in my opinion, a very solid starting left tackle in this league, it gives you the opportunity to not rush things with Broderick, which is really a luxury in this league. You can really wait to deploy Broderick until he is ready. You don't have to feel like you have to force him out there. And I'm really excited to see what Dan Moore Jr. is going to be able to do. And if he plays well enough here during the season as the starter, he might even be the starting right tackle for this team moving forward. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out throughout the season. Now, I've got a couple more winners to break down with you guys here, but before I get into that, do me a favor, get into the comments section and give me your biggest winner of the 2023 preseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm guessing I'm going to see a lot of Kenny Pickett's and George Pickens in there, but let me know your honest opinion. Who was the biggest winner this preseason for the Steelers? For me, I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett just because of how well he played. He had a perfect passer rating, led 5 drives for 5 touchdowns. You just can't ask for anything better than that. So for me, he is my biggest winner. All right, now let's get into some more winners here from the preseason. Now let's go into the first team offensive line. Now this includes Dan Moore Jr., but just the entire unit of the offensive line has looked really, really good throughout the preseason. Isaac Seumalo made some really nice run blocks against the Falcons last night. He was a big winner. Mason Cole has looked good. James Daniels looks like he could be an all-pro caliber guard this year and looks even better than he did last season. Chukwuma Okorafor has mainly held his own this preseason as well. I think this first team offensive line is looking the best that it has in years at this point for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with the running backs that you got, with the quarterback that you have now, with the receiving weapons that you have, now you have the foundation to protect your quarterback, to create running lanes for your running back. And if you have that foundation, you're always going to have a chance to score points in the National Football League. And this one might be a little bit controversial here. My next winner is offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Now you got to give the guy his due, man. When the first team offense was out there, 5 drives, 5 touchdowns. Now, yes, it's on the players to execute. Kenny's done a great job to execute. George Pickens is a huge weapon that you have at your disposal. Deontay Johnson is always freaking open, man. Pat Frymouth is one of the best receiving tight ends in the National Football League, right? And then you got 2 good running backs. So Matt Canada, I still don't think is the best offensive coordinator in the league, but I think he showed this preseason that he's good enough for this first team offense with all the talent that's at his disposal here. He can get them in the end zone. He can get them to score points, something that he hasn't been able to do all that well the last 2 years. This preseason, it is just preseason. And yes, it was against second team defenses. So he still has a ton to prove heading into this year. And his ass is definitely on the hot seat, if you ask me. No more excuses for Matt Canada. It was a good preseason. Now he's got to take that positive momentum into the regular season, and we've got to dominate. All right, and then a rookie that has really been looking good. This is going to surprise nobody. Another person on my winners list is Nick Herbig, outside linebacker from the University of Wisconsin. Has got a sack in every single preseason game. I mean, what else can you say about this kid? This guy loves football. He loves being out there. He's going to be a rotational pass rusher for the Steelers this year behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Now, Herbig, I think, is perfect for that rotational role because he's a little bit smaller, so he might not be a 3-down starter at edge in the National Football League because he can get pushed around a little bit when against the run. Okay, so that is his weakness, but his strength, is pass rushing, and he is ready to go out of the box. His bend is incredible. His athleticism is great. He's already polished in terms of his finesse when it comes to his pass rushing tool belt that he has at his disposal. He's going to be productive from day one in the National Football League, and he showed that off this preseason. I think the Steelers really got a steal there in the 4th round of the draft this season. And then also another group of players that I think really are winners this preseason is the starting linebackers. Cole Holcomb really established himself as a 3-down starter for this team. I thought he looked really good in pass coverage throughout training camp, throughout preseason. He's been fantastic. Landon Roberts was a big winner against the Falcons last night, showing his ability to defend the run and as a blitzer. And he's a hard hitter, man. He is a Pittsburgh Steeler through and through. And then same thing with Quan Alexander. You bring him in during training camp this year, and he can bring the thunder, he can bring the boom as well. But then he also provides some of the pass defense stuff, pass coverage ability that maybe a Landon Roberts is a bit more of a liability in. So I definitely think that the linebackers showed out this year. It's been a weakness for the Steelers defense over the last couple of seasons, and I think they finally have it figured out here, which is something that's very exciting heading into this year. And then also going back to offense here, let's go to Calvin Austin III, who's looked fantastic as a punt returner. I think he's going to be one of the best special teams punt kickoff return men in football this year. So special teams should be a strength for the Steelers as well. And, as a receiver, I think he's really shifty. I think he's a great deep threat. He had that big touchdown against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1 of the preseason. And I think that he's going to be somebody that comes in on those obvious passing situations, 3rd down, 2nd and long, all these different things. And, although I think Allen Robinson might get more snaps, at least to start, than CA3, I think that Calvin Austin III showed this preseason that he's a dynamic weapon and he can be a game changer for Matt Canada on offense this year. And then my final winner here on my list, I'm going to go with the 3rd string running back, Anthony McFarland, who's really looked good this preseason, has been making splash plays at training camp, in preseason games. He gets the edge really well. He's got the speed that you look for in a running back. And when it comes to number 3 running backs, it's hard to get better than Anthony McFarland Jr., in my opinion. Like, the Steelers are set at running back, in my opinion, right now, man. You got Najee, you got Jaylen, you got Anthony, and then you also have Connor Heyward, who I mentioned earlier, who can also play running back. So it seems like this group is pretty much injury-proof as long as you don't get 3-4 injuries to this running back room. You're always going to have starting capable players here at the position, and because Matt Canada wants this to be a run-heavy offense this year, that that's a very, very good thing that you can really rely on the depth to be there here for the 2023 season. All right, that's going to be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate all the support. Thanks for sticking with me here for pretty much all 15 minutes of today's video. Again, if you want to become a Pittsburgh Steelers expert here for the 2023 season, click that subscribe button. We got daily videos for free here on the channel. Tomorrow, I'll be back in studio and not in my apartment. But like I said, man, really do appreciate all the support. Make sure you click that subscribe button, click that like button, do all those good things. Thanks so much, guys. I will see you guys later. And as always, here we go, Steelers.